But we begin this morning with growing outrage in Ohio, where a grand jury declined to bring any charges against the 8 police officers connected to the fatal shooting of 25-year-old black man Jayland Walker.
Walker was killed by police after being pulled over for an alleged traffic violation last June. Police say he fired a shot from the car before running off, and that a gun was later found in the car. In this body cam video released by Akron police, officers can be seen chasing Walker before shooting him a combined 46 times. Both local officials and lawyers representing the Walker family expressed their feelings after the decision.
The jurors ultimately determined that our officers did not commit a crime when they encountered Mr. Walker.
I wish you could have been in the home about 4:30 p.m. when I broke the news to the family. I wish you could have heard and felt and seen the screams. There was screaming.
Despite the grand jury's decision not to bring charges against the officers because they concluded the use of force was legally justified, Walker's family says they will file a lawsuit, and the Akron Police Department says it will begin its own internal investigation into the officers involved. NBC News correspondent Jesse Kirsch is in Akron, Ohio, with more on what's next.
Clay and Lindsay, good morning. You can see we still have some windows boarded up in downtown Akron, though demonstrations overnight appear to have been largely, if not entirely, peaceful. We have not received any official word from police yet on arrests in this community. All of this in the aftermath of the announcement from the Ohio State Attorney General that there will be no state-level criminal charges against any of the 8 Akron police officers who officials say fired at Jayland Walker, the 25-year-old black man who was shot and killed by police last June. Officials held a press conference yesterday, again laying out what they say was the timeline of events that unfolded last June. Officials saying that Walker was attempting to be pulled over. I should say police were attempting to pull over Walker for a traffic stop, at which point officials say that he fled in a vehicle, then fired at least 1 gunshot, then took off on foot. Officials say police also tried tasing Walker before he motioned in a way that led police to fire what we're told, according to officials, was more than 90 times in less than 7 seconds. Authorities say that Walker was hit roughly 46 times and he died. I spoke one-on-one with an attorney for Walker's family last night. That attorney says he does not trust the investigative findings that have been shared by officials. All of this playing out as the family says they will be filing a civil lawsuit. And here in Akron, this community has its public schools closed for today. Clay and Lindsay, back to you.
All right, Jesse, thank you. A Missouri man is now facing charges for allegedly shooting 16-year-old Ralph Yarl, a black teen who mistakenly rang the wrong doorbell while trying to pick up his younger brothers.
Yeah, Kansas City police have identified the man as 84-year-old Andrew Lester, who is white. A warrant has been issued for Lester's arrest. NBC News correspondent Maggie Vespa is on the ground there in Kansas City with the latest.
Clay, Lindsay, good morning. After days of protests demanding justice here in Kansas City, prosecutors here have now charged the white homeowner who they say shot a black teenage boy after family says that teenager just basically rang the wrong doorbell. 84-year-old Andrew Lester now faces 2 felony counts, including first-degree assault and armed criminal action. Specific to that first charge, he could get up to life in prison. Lester, per the probable cause warrant for his arrest, telling police that he thought 16-year-old Ralph Yarl was trying to break into his house Thursday night when he rang that doorbell, and he told detectives he was, quote, scared for his life. We spoke to the family of Ralph Yarl, his aunt and the family attorney, and they say Yarl was just trying to pick up his younger twin brothers from a friend's house when he accidentally went to the wrong home and, again, just rang the doorbell. The family also saying that Yarl was shot twice, once in the head and once in the arm, and miraculously, after that happened on Thursday, and they said Yarl had brain surgery, has already been discharged from the hospital, and they say is home, healing 1 day at a time. Guys, I'll send it back to you.
Maggie, thanks so much. And Dominion Voting Systems' landmark defamation trial against Fox is expected to get underway this morning following a brief delay.
Delaware Superior Court Judge Eric Davis appeared in court yesterday and announced the start of the trial was delayed until 9 a.m. today. Multiple reports citing sources suggest the delay was due to Fox pursuing settlement talks, but NBC News has not confirmed that. NBC News correspondent Emily Aketa is in Wilmington, Delaware with the latest. NBC News legal analyst Danny Savalas is also with us to break all this down. So, Emily, first to you, what happened yesterday with the judge and what are we watching for today?
Yeah, good morning to you. Well, the judge merely made a formal announcement yesterday that the trial would be pushed. It would be delayed from yesterday until this morning. He provided no insight around to why that might be the case, as we had been hoping for. It was short and sweet. He said these kinds of delays are not unusual. But with those reports swirling around the last-minute push for settlement talks, we were watching closely for any kind of announcement to potentially develop overnight. No announcement, I can tell you, has come. So as things stand now, you can see the folks lining up behind me to get into the courthouse. Jury selection process will begin here in just a matter of hours. Around 9 a.m. they will finalize that process, and once the jury is seated, there will be about, we're told, a 15-minute recess before they get into opening arguments. Dominion will lead off, Fox will follow, and all eyes are on Delaware this week because of some of the folks that are expected to take the stand and testify. Among them, Fox Corporation Chairman Rupert Murdoch, also some of Fox's most popular hosts, including Sean Hannity, Maria Bartiromo, and Tucker Carlson. Lindsay and Clay.
Yeah, and Danny, I want to bring you in because there were multiple reports yesterday that were suggesting that they may reach a settlement. Obviously, the trial is happening today, so is a settlement off the table?
Absolutely not. I mean, settlement can happen even after the jury has the case and they're deliberating. And you can imagine a scenario where settlement talks could pop up in the middle of trial if there's some devastating witness who gets up there and just buries Fox, or possibly buries the plaintiff's case, although I don't really see how that could happen. It could. Anything's possible. And when your risk shifts like that, sometimes parties come to the table. I wouldn't be surprised at all if settlement talks are reignited at some point along the way, because as you get closer and closer to verdict, each side has a lot to lose, and one or more may blink. They may want to come to the table and talk settlement. Keep in mind, yes, everyone says the plaintiff has a good case, but for every plaintiff, I don't care if you're Dominion or just some Joe Schmo nobody knows, money today, guaranteed, is always better than maybe money in the future, only if it's upheld on appeal years from now.
Okay. Emily, let's talk about that fired Fox producer, Abby Grossberg. She said in a new sworn statement she actually found more evidence relevant to the case, recordings that were taken at the time that she spent with the company. She says she plans to turn them over to the court. Remind us who she is, her role in all this, and what do we know about these recordings?
Okay, so Abby Grossberg used to be a senior producer for Fox News hosts like Tucker Carlson and Maria Bartiromo. She was fired in March after she filed a lawsuit against the network claiming that they had forced her into giving misleading testimony for this case, for the Dominion case. Fox has called her lawsuit baseless and said they fired her because she divulged privileged information. Now, throughout her time at Fox, she says she would regularly record conversations, pre-interviews with her boss, Maria Bartiromo, involving voter fraud allegations made on those calls through a transcription service. She recently got a hold of some of those new recordings with the help of a forensic expert, and one of the calls involves Senator Ted Cruz, who emphasizes on that call the need for facts and proof. He did not respond to our request for comment. Fox News says that it has complied with all of the discovery obligations, and at a hearing last week, some of its lawyers said that Grossberg did not disclose the existence of such actual recordings. Grossberg is among the potential lists of witnesses to take the stand. Guys?
And Danny, I want to talk about the judge for a minute, because Judge Davis also ruled that Fox lawyers could not use newsworthiness as a defense. Obviously, a little problematic given it's Fox News. So what strategy do you think they're going to use in this trial? What arguments should we expect?
Newsworthiness is not a defense to defamation, but the witnesses for Fox can mention that they thought what they were doing was newsworthy. The problem with that is the judge may instruct the jury, hey, jury, you just heard this testimony, but I need you to know that newsworthiness is not a defense defense to defamation. So the net benefit of putting on that kind of evidence may not be that good for Fox. I think for Dominion, the strategy here, though, is that the jurors are going to be thinking about the fact, well, what if something is newsworthy? What are news stations, what are journalists supposed to do? Are they supposed to ignore it or put somebody on and grill them? I think that's why Dominion needs to really put on a case to differentiate what Fox did from what other people would do in similar situations. That's their challenge, and they need to meet it.
Definitely a fluid case. Danny Savalos, Emily Aketa, thank you so much.
Russian President Vladimir Putin has visited 2 occupied regions of Ukraine, seemingly to rally his troops as the war between both countries continues. The Kremlin says Putin met with military commanders in the southern region of Kherson and Luhansk in the east, but did not say when the visits took place. Moscow annexed the regions last September, but Russian forces only partially occupy them. Last month, Putin visited the occupied city of Mariupol, where some of the heaviest fighting of the war took place.
And federal prosecutors have arrested 2 men in New York City for allegedly running a Chinese secret police station. According to the Justice Department, the 2 men created the first secret police station in the U.S. on behalf of the Chinese Ministry of Public Security. They are also suspected of intimidating Chinese nationals living in the U.S. Both men have been charged with conspiracy to act as agents for China and obstruction of justice. They're scheduled to appear in court on Monday, and the Chinese government has denied the existence of these secret police stations in the past. International intelligence communities believe there are at least 100 of these stations across the world.
Let's switch gears here. Get a check of your morning News Now weather. We're seeing a drop in temps this Tuesday morning. In the Midwest, some 17 million people are waking up to freeze alerts.
So here to walk us through it is NBC News meteorologist Angie Lassman. Good morning, Angie.
Good morning, guys. You know, I hate to be the bearer of bad news after folks in the Midwest were dealing with temperatures in the 80s. They saw quick temperature drops, and now we even have some leftover snow showers, late April snow showers for folks along the Great Lakes. Downwind, we still have that cold air coming off the lake, so no surprise there. We also have some snow showers happening in parts of the Pacific Northwest and some rain stretched down through the south. Now, we're going to talk about first that next system that we're going to be tracking to bring even more snow to folks and a temperature roller coaster over the coming days. So first things first, we got to talk about some of the severe weather that could be associated with that. I think through the afternoon hours today, it'll mainly be general thunderstorms, maybe a strong one here or there, but the better chance is going to come as we get into tomorrow, specifically into the afternoon hours, stretching from Omaha to Wichita and Oklahoma City, all included in the potential as this system marches to the east to see some of these thunderstorms firing up that could pack a punch, maybe some damaging winds, some large hail, as well as the potential for some isolated tornadoes. And it once again is in that same kind of area that we've been seeing for days and days, stretching through the plains. Here's the best chance for where we can see that larger hail. We're talking 2 inches or bigger. It does include places like Kansas City and Wichita, so just a heads up if you're going to be out and about in those areas for tomorrow afternoon. And then the line continues marching to the east as that cold front moves to the east as well, and really some heavy rain associated with that, so we'll watch for the flooding potential. I'll show you those totals here in a moment, but we're also going to have another day where Little Rock, Lufkin, parts of Texas are included in a day where we could see some of those stronger storms. It will have the damaging hail. It'll also be a day where we could see those wind gusts up to 60 miles per hour, and we're not going to rule out an isolated tornado. Rainfall amounts come in maybe 1.5 inches in the highest areas, maybe Kansas City, Minneapolis, Green Bay, Little Rock, all seeing those higher amounts, so we will watch for flooding concerns. And here's those temperatures that we mentioned. We are talking 46 degrees for the high in Detroit today, 50 for Pittsburgh. We're sitting way below normal for this time of year, and it's kind of that lingering system that's bringing those snow showers with that cooler air off the lake that's keeping us cool. Doesn't last for too long. We'll start to see things warming up a little bit tomorrow, upper 70s, not bad for Cincinnati into the afternoon hours tomorrow, and St. Louis hits the low 80s. Unfortunately, it doesn't last. Look what happens by the time we head from Thursday into Saturday from Chicago. We have a 20-plus degree temperature drop in a lot of these places. Cleveland will hit the 80s on Thursday, but you'll need those spring jackets on Saturday with the upper 50s. So just, day by day, take it.
Say, I don't know how to dress, but you said spring jacket, so.
Well, you're going to need the short sleeves for Thursday, maybe a lighter layer Friday.
Angie Lassman, keeping us honest. Thank
exactly.
you. And there are new developments this morning in connection to that deadly mass shooting at a Sweet 16 party in Alabama over the weekend. 4 people were killed and dozens more injured. NBC News correspondent Jay Gray joins us now from Dadeville. Good morning, Jay. So I just want to jump in here. We understand the number of people injured has actually increased since yesterday, and we're also learning more about the victims, too. So what do we know?
Yeah, Zinclay, first on the number of those wounded or injured, we heard from state police overnight in a written statement that initially there were 28 people identified. They came back identified more, so now that number is up to 32 that were either wounded by gunfire or injured trying to escape the attack. As for the 4 people who were killed, all went to the same high school here. We know that Corbin Holston, 23, had graduated, but was still close to those in this community. And really him being at this party is evidence of what so many people say in this town, that they are a tight-knit community, that they stick together. The 3 other people who were killed, all students that were just weeks away from graduation. Kiki Smith was 17. Her friends say that she was always smiling, just lit up any room that she went into. She had planned to continue her education at the University of Alabama. Marshia Collins, 19, an aspiring musician, somebody who had planned to go to school at LSU, Louisiana State University, and he was best friends with Gustavus Dowdell, 18 years old, a gifted athlete who was going to Jackson State on a football scholarship. In fact, we heard from the coach at Jackson State, who has said, our thoughts and prayers are with the family of Gustavus Dowdell and the other victims of the senseless tragedy last night. He issued this right after the shooting. He was a great young man with a bright future. My staff and I are heartbroken and hope that everyone will support his family through this difficult time. And when you speak about his family, the Sweet 16 birthday party was for his young sister. Their mom was also wounded during the attack.
I mean, so many lives cut short, Jay, and I mean, we're talking about the issue of gun violence. So, of course, this is raising the questions about gun laws in states around the country. We've seen it happen in other states, Jay. Just last week, Tennessee's governor signed an executive order after the school shooting in Nashville. Now, in Alabama, where you are, groups like the Alabama Black Caucus are talking about laws they're working on. What are lawmakers saying right now?
Well, here in Alabama, it's clear the governor is not to that point. You know, you're right. It's the same question we seem to hear asked every week after the latest mass shooting. And the governor here in Alabama was pushed on that issue. Give a listen to what she had to say.
A lot of Democrats in the state came together to support red flag law legislation. Is this something that you would support, or any type of gun control legislation?
I'll have to look at the bill. I can't say yay or nay right now.
Is there any sort of gun reform that you would support?
Not without seeing it.
Yeah, so right now, no clear support, as you just heard, for any new gun legislation by the governor here in Alabama.
Jake Gray, thank you so much.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.